The bright studio lights made everything look perfect. Jimmy Fallon sat behind his desk, smiling at the camera as the audience clapped. Tonight was going to be a good show. His guest was someone everyone loved, Keanu Reeves. The actor walked out wearing his usual black suit, waving at the crowd. People cheered louder when they saw him. "Welcome back to the show, Keanu," Jimmy said, shaking his hand. "Great to have you here again." "Thanks for having me, Jimmy. Always a pleasure," Keanu replied, sitting down in the guest chair. His voice was calm and friendly, just like always. The interview started normally. Jimmy asked about Keanu's new movie, a science fiction film about space travel. Keanu talked about the hard work of filming and how much he enjoyed working with the other actors. The audience laughed at the funny stories he told. Everything was going perfectly. "So tell me about the research you did for this role," Jimmy sighed, leaning forward with interest. "I heard you really went deep into the science stuff." Keanu nodded. "Yeah, I wanted to make it feel real. You know how important that is to me." "Absolutely. So what kind of research did you do?" Keanu paused for a moment, looking thoughtful. "Well, I studied a lot about space travel. The real challenges of moving between star systems. For example, the jump from Earth to the Kepler 442 system takes about 3 Earth months if you use the standard hyperspace lanes. But if you take the shortcut through the nexus point near Alpha Centauri, you can cut that time in half." Jimmy blinked. That single quote says that very specific. "And then there's the challenge of dealing with the Zephyrians," Keanu continued, as if he hadn't heard Jimmy. "They control most of the trade routes in that sector. Nice people, actually. They look like giant butterflies, but they're incredibly smart. Their leader, High Commander Velthera, has been trying to establish peaceful relations with Earth for decades." The audience was still smiling, thinking this was part of the act. But Jimmy's expression changed. Something was wrong. These weren't the kind of details you got from a science advisor or a book. These sounded like real experiences. "Keanu," Jimmy said carefully, "where exactly did you get this information?" Keanu's eyes suddenly focused, as if he had just woken up from a dream. He looked at Jimmy, then at the cameras, then at the audience. His face went pale. "I read it somewhere," he said quickly. "Just research, you know. Internet stuff." But it was too late. Jimmy had worked in television long enough to know when someone was lying. And the way Keanu had spoken about those places and people, it wasn't like reading from a script or remembering facts. It was like remembering a trip to the grocery store. "Right," Jimmy said, trying to keep the show moving. "Well, that's some pretty detailed research. Your fans are going to love how much effort you put into this role." The rest of the interview continued, but the mood had changed. Keanu gave shorter answers and seemed nervous. Jimmy kept looking at him strangely. The audience didn't notice much, but the people watching at home could feel that something was different. When the show ended and the cameras stopped rolling, Jimmy walked over to Keanu. "Hey, can we talk for a minute?" Jimmy asked quietly. "I really need to go," Keanu said, standing up quickly. "Early morning tomorrow." "Keanu, wait. Those things you said about space travel and those alien names, where did they really come from?" Keanu stopped walking. He turned around and looked at Jimmy with an expression that was sad and tired. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you," he said softly. "Try me," Keanu shook his head. "Some things are better left unknown, Jimmy. Trust me on this one." He walked away, leaving Jimmy standing alone on the empty stage, 300 miles away. In a building that didn't exist on any map, Dr. Lisa Martinez was having the worst night of her career. She sat in front of a wall of computer screens, all showing the same thing, energy readings that should have been impossible. "Are you seeing this?" she called to her partner, Colonel Jake Patterson, who was standing behind her looking at printouts. "I'm seeing it, but I don't believe it," Jake replied. These readings started exactly when that actor started talking about alien worlds. Lisa typed frantically on her keyboard. The quantum field disruptions are off the charts. It's like someone just turned on a beacon that broadcasts across the entire galaxy. You think he's one of them? Jake asked. I don't know what he is. But normal humans don't make our equipment go crazy just by talking on television. On the main screen, they watched a recording of Keanu's interview. Lisa had seen it 12 times already, but she kept finding new details that worried her. Look at this part, she said, pausing the video. When he mentions the nexus point near Alpha Centauri, watch his eyes. Jake leaned closer. In the freeze frame, Keanu's eyes had a strange shine to them, almost like they were reflecting light that wasn't there. That's not normal, Jake said. No, it's not. And look at this. Lisa switched to another screen showing satellite data. Every deep space monitoring station on Earth started picking up signals right after he spoke. Signals in languages we've never seen before. Jake grabbed a chair and sat down. What kind of signals? Star maps, coordinates, and what looks like diplomatic credentials. They stared at the screen in silence. After 30 years of searching for signs of alien life, they had always imagined first contact would be dramatic. Ships landing in Washington, D.C., or radio messages from space. They never thought it would start with a movie star making a mistake on late-night television. We need to find him, Jake said finally. Already tried. He's not at his hotel. Security cameras show him leaving the building, but then the footage gets weird. Weird how? Lisa pulled up another video. Watch this. The security footage showed Keanu walking down a hotel hallway, but halfway to the elevator, he seemed to fade like a ghost. By the time he reached the elevator doors, he was completely gone. That's impossible, Jake said. Yeah, well, impossible. Seems to be having a busy night. Lisa's computer started beeping. New signals were coming in from space. Dozens of them. All pointed toward Earth. Jake, she said quietly, I think we're about to have visitors. Agent Katie Sullivan got the phone call at 3 in the morning. She had been sleeping peacefully in her apartment when her secure phone started buzzing. The caller ID just showed a number she knew meant trouble. Sullivan here, she answered. Already getting out of bed. We need you at the facility. Now, said the voice on the other end. It was her boss, Director Frank Morrison. He sounded worried, which was never a good sign. What's the situation? Just get here, and Katie? Bring your weird case files. Katie knew what that meant. Her weird case files contained reports about things that didn't make sense. UFO sightings that seemed too real. People who appeared in historical photographs from different time periods, looking exactly the same. Technology that worked in ways that shouldn't be possible. She drove through the empty streets toward the facility. It was hidden beneath what looked like an ordinary office building in downtown Las Vegas. Most people walked past it every day without knowing that some of the country's strangest secrets were kept in the basement levels. When she arrived, Katie found the place buzzing with activity. Scientists and agents were running around with papers and laptops. Everyone looked excited and scared at the same time. Katie, thank God you're here, Director Morrison said, walking up to her. We have a situation. What kind of situation? The kind that changes everything we thought we knew about the world. He led her to the main control room where Dr. Lisa Martinez and Colonel Jake Patterson were still working at their computers. They looked like they hadn't slept at all. Show her, Morrison said. Lisa turned to Katie. Have you seen the Tonight Show from last night? No, why? Watch this. Lisa played the video of Keanu's interview. Katie watched with growing confusion. I don't understand. It's just Keanu Reeves talking about his movie research. Listen to what he's saying, Jake said. Really listen. Katie watched again. This time she paid attention to the specific details Keanu mentioned. The star systems, the alien races, the travel times. Her eyes grew wide. "Those aren't things you research for a movie," she said slowly. "No, they're not," Lisa agreed. "And watch what happened to our equipment when he said them." The screens showed energy readings going crazy during Keanu's speech. Numbers that should have been steady were jumping all over the place. "It gets better," Jake said. "Or worse, depending on how you look at it. Show her the signals." Lisa switched to another screen. It showed radio telescope data from around the world. All of them had started receiving strange transmissions at exactly 11:47 p.m., right when Keanu had mentioned the alien worlds. "What are they saying?" Katie asked. "We're still working on that." "But look at this." Lisa pulled up what looked like a star map. "This came through about an hour ago. It's showing the location of every habitable planet within 50 light years of Earth." Katie stared at the map. "How is that possible?" "That's what we're trying to figure out," Morrison said. "But it gets stranger. Tell her about the hotel." Jake pulled up security footage. After the show, Keanu went back to his hotel. "But watch. What happens?" Katie watched as Keanu walked down the hotel hallway. She saw him fade away like a ghost. "That's not possible," she said. "We sent a team to check his room. It was empty." But here's the interesting part. The room was paid for until next week. But according to the hotel records, nobody ever checked in. Katie felt a chill run down her spine. "What are you saying?" "We think Keanu Reeves might not be who we think he is," Morrison said. "Katie, I want you to look through your files. Have you ever come across his name before?" Katie thought about it. "Not directly, but let me check something." She pulled out her phone and started scrolling through photos. "I keep pictures of strange things I investigate. Old photos where people don't look right, that sort of thing." She found what she was looking for. "Look at this." It's a photograph from 1875. A group of men building the railroad in California. She showed them the photo. In the background, clearly visible, was a man who looked exactly like Keanu Reeves. "Could be a coincidence," Jake said. "People can look alike, maybe. But what about this one?" Katie showed another photo. "This is from 1945. American soldiers in France during World War II. Again, there was Keanu's face, unchanged. And this one is from 1692, Salem, Massachusetts. Code records from the witch trials. The same face stared back at them from a 300-year-old drawing. How many coincidences do we believe in?" Morrison asked quietly. Dr. Martinez's computer started beeping again. "We're getting more transmissions," she announced. "These ones are different. They're not star maps. What are they?" Lisa frowned at her screen. "They look like dot identification papers. Like a passport, but not for any country on Earth." She put the transmission on the main screen. The text was in symbols none of them recognized, but there was a picture. It showed Keanu Reeves, but he was wearing some kind of uniform. "Can we translate any of this?" Katie asked. "We're working on it. But some of the symbols match things we've seen in other cases. Ancient symbols that show up in places they shouldn't." Suddenly, all the computers in the room started making noise at once. Every screen showed the same thing, incoming signals from space. "Dozens of them. Are we under attack?" Morrison asked. "I don't think so," Lisa said, typing as fast as she could. "These signals aren't weapons. They single quotes read dot communications. Like someone is trying to talk to us." "Talk to us about what?" Before Lisa could answer, the lights in the room went out. Emergency power kicked in a second later, bathing everything in. "Red light. What happened?" Katie asked. "Something just knocked out the power grid for the entire city," Jake reported, looking at his readings. "But our backup systems are still working." "How is that possible?" "The same way everything else tonight is possible," Morrison said grimly. "It shouldn't be, but it is. Dr. Martinez gasped. Look at this. On her screen was a message in perfect English. We need to talk. Meet us at Groom Lake. Come alone. Tell no one else. The future of your species depends on it. The message was signed with a symbol that looked like a star. Groom Lake, Katie said. That's Area 51. Yeah, Morrison replied. And I'm betting our friend Keanu is going to be there. Katie looked around the room at all the impossible things they had discovered in just one night. So what do we do? Morrison was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, we go to Area 51 and we find out who Keanu Reeves really is. Outside, the city of Las Vegas was dark except for the stars. But if anyone had been looking up at the sky with the right equipment, they would have seen something strange. The stars were moving, and they were moving toward Earth. The drive to Area 51 took 3 hours through the empty Nevada desert. Katie Sullivan sat in the passenger seat while Director Morrison drove. Colonel Jake Patterson and Dr. Lisa Martinez followed in a second car. None of them spoke much during the trip. They were all thinking about what they might find. Area 51 looked different than Katie had expected. Instead of the secret military base from movies, it looked like a normal airport with some extra fences. But as they got closer, she could see strange lights in the sky above it. Those aren't normal aircraft, Jake said over the radio. No, they're not, Morrison replied. But I'm not sure anything is normal anymore. They were met at the gate by soldiers who checked their identification very carefully. Then they were driven in military vehicles to a building that looked like it had been built yesterday. Inside, they found themselves in a room that was bigger than seemed possible. The ceiling was so high Katie couldn't see the top. Along the walls were displays showing star maps and pictures of planets. In the center of the room stood a man they all recognized. Keanu Reeves was there, but he wasn't wearing his usual black suit. Instead, he wore a uniform that looked like it was made of silver metal. He looked exactly the same as he had on television, but somehow different, more serious, more tired. Thank you for coming, he said as they approached. I know this must be confusing. Confusing doesn't begin to cover it, Morrison said. Who are you really? Keanu was quiet for a moment. Then he said, my real name is Rex Harper. I'm a commander in the Terran Expeditionary Force, and I'm from about 500 years in the future. Katie felt like the room was spinning. You're a time traveler? Yes, and before you ask, no, this isn't how I wanted you to find out. Dr. Martinez stepped forward. The energy readings, the signals from space, that was all because of you? When I said those things on television, I accidentally activated some technology that was supposed to stay hidden. Technology that your time period isn't ready for yet. What kind of technology? Jake S. Rex walked over to one of the wall displays. Your planet has been prepared for this moment for centuries. Every major advance in human technology, every leap forward in science, it was all guided by people like me, sent back from the future. He touched the wall, and the display changed to show Earth, but not the Earth they knew. This Earth had cities floating in the sky and massive structures reaching into space. This is what your world becomes, Rex said. In my time, humans are the leaders of something called the Galactic Defense Alliance. We protect thousands of worlds from threats that want to destroy all life in the universe. Katie stared at the display. That's impossible. Humans can barely get along with each other. That's exactly why we become so important, Rex replied. Every war you've fought, every problem you've solved, every time you've overcome impossible. Oh, Dedes, it was all training. Preparing your species for what's coming. What's coming? Morrison asked. Rex's expression became very serious. They're called the Devourers. They travel from galaxy to galaxy, consuming everything. Every planet, every star, every form of life. They've destroyed millions of civilizations. And they're coming here? They were supposed to arrive in 2025. My mission was to make sure humanity was ready by then. But when I made that mistake on television, I accidentally sent a signal that told them where Earth is. They're coming early. Dr. Martinez checked her equipment. How early? Rex looked at readings on his wrist device. About 8 months. The room fell silent. Katie felt like she couldn't breathe. But here's what the Devourers don't know, Rex continued. Humans have something special. Something that makes you different from every other species in the galaxy. What's that? Jake asked. You refuse to give up. Ever. I've studied thousands of alien races, and when they face extinction, most of them accept it. They try to run or hide, but humans, you fight. Even when there's no hope, you find a way to keep fighting. Rex walked to another display. This one showed what looked like a family tree, but instead of people, it showed different alien species. 5 million years ago, there was a race called the Ancients. They were the first civilization to achieve peace across their entire galaxy. They were wise, powerful, and completely peaceful. But when the Devourers came to their galaxy, they couldn't fight back. It went against everything they believed. What happened to them? Katie asked. They died. But before they died, they did something incredible. They sent out seed ships to distant galaxies. Ships containing their genetic code and their knowledge, but mixed with the DNA of the most aggressive, determined species they could find. Rex paused and looked at each of them. One of those ships landed on Earth 4 million years ago. Humans are just humans. You're the children of the Ancients, mixed with the fighting spirit of a warrior race. You have their wisdom and creativity, but also the ability to fight when you need to. Morrison shook his head. This is insane. Maybe, but it explains a lot. Why humans are so good at making friends with other species. Why you're always trying to help others, even strangers. Why you create art and music and stories that inspire people across the galaxy. Across the galaxy? Lisa asked. Oh yes. In my time, human movies and music are popular on thousands of worlds. Your stories about never giving up, about ordinary people becoming heroes. Other species love them because they give hope. Rex activated another display. This one showed a massive space battle, with ships from dozens of different species fighting together. This is the Battle of the Seven Suns. It happened in my timeline 50 years from now. Humans didn't have the biggest ships or the most powerful weapons. But you convinced 37 different alien races to work together for the first time. In galactic history, did we win? Katie asked. Yes, but barely. And only because humanity refused to surrender when every logical analysis said the situation was hopeless. Jake looked at all the displays around them. So what happens now? How do we prepare for these Devourers in 8 months? Rex smiled for the first time since they had arrived. That's the beautiful thing about humans. You're already preparing, and you don't even know it. Every person who refuses to give up on their dreams, every act of kindness to a stranger, every time someone stands up for what's right, it's all making your species stronger. He walked over to a console and started typing. But we're going to need to speed things up a little. It's time to wake up the technology that's been waiting on your planet. Time to contact the alien species who have been hiding here, watching to see if humans are ready to join the galaxy. Alarms started going off around the room. What's that? Morrison asked. Rex looked at his readings and his expression changed. That's impossible. They're not supposed to be here yet. Who's not supposed to be here? The advanced scouts. The Devourers have sent ships ahead of the main fleet. Through the windows of the facility, they could see lights moving across the night sky. But these weren't the friendly lights they had seen earlier. These were dark shapes that seemed to eat the starlight around them. How long do we have? Katie asked. Rex was typing frantically on his console. Maybe 6 hours before they reach Earth. 6 hours? I thought you said 8 months. Plans change, Rex said grimly. Welcome to your first day as members of the Galactic Defense Alliance. I hope you're ready to save the world. The next few hours changed everything Katie Sullivan thought she knew about the world. Rex Harper had activated systems that had been hidden all over Earth for decades. Suddenly, ordinary buildings were opening up to reveal spacecraft. Cell phone. Towers were transforming into communication arrays that could reach other star systems. Even the internet was different now, connecting Earth to planets millions of miles away. This is incredible, Dr. Martinez said, watching her equipment display information from 12 different worlds. We're getting signals from everywhere. How long has this technology been here? Colonel Patterson asked. Rex was working at multiple screens at once. Some of it has been here since the 1940s. Some of it arrived last week. Time travel makes logistics complicated. Katie looked out the window. The dark shapes in the sky were getting closer. They looked like massive jellyfish made of shadow. But she could tell they were actually ships. Ships that seemed to absorb all the light around them. How many Devourer scouts are there? She asked. Rex checked his readings. 17 ships. Each one carries about 1,000 scouts. They'll spread out across the planet to gather information for the main fleet. What kind of information? How many people live here? What kind of weapons we have? How organized our defenses are? Rex paused. Whether we're worth consuming slowly or if they should just destroy everything quickly. Director Morrison was on his radio, talking to government officials in Washington. Yes, sir. I know how it sounds, but you need to look outside. The ships are visible from anywhere on the planet now. Through the facility's speakers, they could hear news reports from around the world. Every major city was reporting strange objects in the sky. Some governments were calling it a hoax. Others were preparing their military forces. Most people were just scared. Rex, Katie said, you mentioned other alien species hiding on Earth. Where are they? Everywhere. Your mailman might be from the Andromeda Galaxy. Your dentist could be a refugee from a planet the Devourers destroyed 50 years ago. There are about 2 million non-humans living on Earth right now. 2 million? Dr. Martinez nearly dropped her equipment. How did we not know? Because they're very good at blending in, and because most humans see what they expect to see. If someone looks mostly human, you assume they are human. Rex activated another screen. This one showed a map of Earth with thousands of small lights scattered across it. These are all the hidden aliens on your planet. Most of them came here as refugees. Their worlds were destroyed by the Devourers, and they've been waiting to see if Earth would be able to fight back. And now they know? Now they know. Watch. The lights on the map started moving. All of them were heading toward major cities around the world. They're coming out of hiding, Rex explained. When I activated the defense systems, it sent a signal. That means Earth is ready to fight. Now they're going to help. Katie's phone started ringing. It was her sister in Chicago. Katie, are you seeing this on the news? There are people walking out of buildings and they look ... different. Some of them have extra arms. Some of them have skin that glows. What's happening? It's okay, Jenny. They're friends. They're here to help us. Help us with what? Katie looked at Rex, who nodded. Help us save the world, Katie said. The Devourer ships were close enough now that they could see details. The ships weren't smooth like human spacecraft. They looked organic, like they had grown instead of being built. And they were huge. Each. One was at least a mile long. They're beautiful in a horrible way, Dr. Martinez said quietly. The Devourers used to be something else, Rex said. A long time ago, they were probably a normal species like any other. But they made a choice. They decided that consuming other life forms was easier than creating their own civilization. How long ago? Maybe 1 billion years. They've been traveling from galaxy to galaxy ever since, eating everything they find. Colonel Patterson was monitoring. Military communications. Rex, I'm getting reports from the Pentagon. They want to launch nuclear missiles at those ships. That won't work. The Devourers eat energy. Nuclear weapons would just make them stronger. Then how do we fight them? Rex smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. We don't fight them with weapons. We fight them with what makes us human. Before anyone could ask what that meant, every screen in the facility started showing the same thing. It was a news broadcast, but not from any Earth news station. The person speaking looked human, but her skin had a slight blue tint and her eyes were completely silver. "Citizens of Earth," she said in perfect English. "My name is Commander Zara Singh. I am from the planet Kepler 438b, and I have been living in your city of Mumbai for the past 15 years as a software engineer." Katie stared at the screen. She looked so normal. "Many of us do," Rex said. Commander Singh continued. "The time for hiding is over. My people, and thousands of others from across the galaxy, have been waiting on your world. Waiting to see if humanity was ready to join the fight against the Devourers." The camera pulled back to show that Commander Singh was not alone. Behind her were dozens of beings that looked almost human, but not quite. Some had different colored skin. Some had extra eyes. Some were taller or shorter than normal humans. But they all wore the same expression of determination. "Today we fight together," Commander Singh said. "Today, Earth joins the Galactic Defense Alliance." Similar broadcasts were starting from cities all over the world. London, Tokyo, New York, Sao Paulo. In each city, hidden aliens were revealing themselves and offering to help defend Earth. "This is amazing," Katie said. "How many species are represented?" Rex was counting the broadcasts. 43 different species from 37 different star systems. All of them refugees from worlds the Devourers destroyed. And they all want to help us? They've been waiting for this moment. Earth is the first planet in 200 years that has a real chance of fighting back successfully. Dr. Martinez looked up from her equipment. "Rex, I'm picking up transmissions from the Devourer ships. Should I try to translate them?" "You don't need to translate them. I know what they're saying." "What?" "They're surprised. The Devourers have consumed thousands of worlds, but they've never encountered a planet where the local population immediately allied with refugee species. They expected humans to panic and turn on the aliens." Katie thought about that. "But we didn't." "No, you didn't. Most species, when they discover they've been living alongside aliens, react with fear or anger. Humans are the first species to immediately start asking, 'How can we help?'" Colonel Patterson was watching the news feeds from around the world. "Look at this. There are humans in every city organizing welcome committees for the aliens. People are bringing them food and water. Someone in Denver just started a Facebook group called Earth Defense Volunteers, and it already has 2 million members. That's humanity for you," Rex said proudly. "When faced with the impossible, your first instinct is to help each other." The Devourer ships had stopped moving. They were hovering in the atmosphere, apparently trying to decide what to do next. "They're confused," Rex said, reading the energy patterns. "This has never happened before. Usually by now, the local population would be fighting among themselves, and the planet would be in chaos. What happens now?" Morrison asked. Rex looked at all of them, then at the news feeds showing humans and aliens working together in cities around the world. "Now we show the Devourers something they've never seen before. We show them what happens when an entire planet decides to fight back together." The dark ships in the sky began to move again, descending toward the surface. "Here they come," Rex sighed. "Remember, everyone. Today we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every world the Devourers have destroyed, and every world they haven't found yet." Katie looked around at her new teammates. A time traveler, a quantum physicist, a military colonel, and a government director. 6 hours ago, They had been ordinary people doing ordinary jobs. Now they were humanity's representatives in a war that would determine the fate of the galaxy. "So," she said, "what's the plan?" The plan was simple, but nobody said it would be easy. Rex Harper stood in front of a massive screen showing the entire planet. Red dots marked where the Devourer scout ships had landed. Blue dots showed where human and alien defense teams were gathering. "The Devourers expect us to be afraid," Rex explained to the room full of people who had arrived from around the world. "They expect us to hide or run away. Instead, we're going to do something that has never been done before." Katie Sullivan looked around the room. 2 hours ago, it had been just the 5 of them. Now there were over 100 people from dozens of different species. She recognized some faces from news broadcasts, world leaders, scientists, military officers. Others were completely alien, but they all had the same determined expression. "What exactly are we going to do?" asked President Williams, who had arrived on Air Force One an hour earlier. "We're going to invite them to dinner," Rex said. The room fell silent. "Excuse me?" said Prime Minister Chun from China. Rex smiled. "The Devourers have been consuming civilizations for 1 billion years, but they've never been invited to talk. They land on a planet, the locals attack them or run away, and the Devourers assume that's how all species behave. They think the universe is divided into predators and prey." Commander Singh, the blue-skinned woman from Mumbai, stepped forward. "But humans don't think that way." "Exactly. Humans see a stranger and your first thought is usually, I wonder what their story is, or maybe they need help. You're the first species that instinctively tries to understand others instead of immediately deciding if they're dangerous." Dr. Martinez was monitoring communications from around the world. "Rex, I'm getting reports that some of the Devourer scouts are landing in populated areas. People are talking to them." "What do you mean talking to them?" President Williams asked. Lisa pulled up video feeds from several cities. On the screens, they could see enormous creatures that looked like giant black spiders with too many eyes. These were the Devourers. But instead of running away, people were approaching them. In London, an elderly man was offering one of the creatures a cup of tea. In Tokyo, a group of school children were drawing pictures and showing them to a confused-looking Devourer. In New York, someone had set up a table with sandwiches and a sign that said, "Welcome to Earth. Try our food." "This is insane," said General Roberts from the Pentagon. "Those things could kill them." "But they're not," Rex pointed out. "Look at the Devourer's body language. They're confused. This has never happened to them before." Katie watched the feeds with amazement. The Devourers aren't attacking. They don't know what to do. For 1 billion years, their arrival on a planet has meant immediate conflict. They land, locals try to fight them. The Devourers consume everything, and they move on. But humans are treating them like guests. Commander Singh activated another screen. "We're receiving transmissions from the Devourer ships. They're asking their command fleet what to do about the strange local behavior. Can we translate their communications?" Colonel Patterson asked. "We don't need to," said a new voice. Everyone turned to see who had spoken. It was a tall, thin creature with gray skin and large black eyes. "I am Keeper Yan. I have been living in your city of Portland for 12 years. As a librarian, my species has encountered the Devourers before." "What happened to your world?" Katie asked. "We tried to fight them with weapons. We lost in 3 days. But I have been studying human behavior since I arrived on Earth. I believe you may succeed where we failed." "How?" President Williams asked. Keeper Yan gestured to the video feeds. "Look at what your people are doing. They are not showing fear. They are showing curiosity. The Devourers have never encountered a species that reacts to their presence with interest instead of terror." Rex was checking readings on his equipment. "The main Devourer fleet is still 8 months away. But these scouts are supposed to report back in 72 hours. If they report that Earth is ready to defend itself, the main fleet will arrive immediately. And if they report something else? Dr. Martinez asked. Then we might have more time to prepare. General Roberts looked at the screens showing humans offering food to giant alien predators. What exactly are we hoping to accomplish here? Commander Singh answered. We are hoping to do something that has never been done before. We are hoping to make the Devourers remember what they used to be. What do you mean? Keeper Yan stepped forward. The Devourers were not always monsters. Long ago, they were a peaceful species. But they encountered something that made them afraid. Something that convinced them the universe was too dangerous for peaceful creatures to survive. So they became predators to survive, Rex continued. But they've been predators for so long, they've forgotten they ever had a choice. Katie was beginning to understand. And you think humans can remind them? Humans have a gift, Rex said. You see the good in others, even when they can't see it themselves. You believe people can change, even when they've given up on themselves. The screens showed more scenes from around the world. In Snow Paulo, a street musician was playing guitar for a group of Devourers who seemed mesmerized by the music. In Mumbai, a grandmother was teaching a young Devourer how to fold paper birds. In Cairo, a group of teenagers was playing soccer while Devourers watched from the sidelines. It's working, Dr. Martinez said, checking her readings. The energy signatures from the Devourer scouts are changing. They're becoming less aggressive. President Williams shook his head in amazement. People are treating them like they're just visitors from out of town. Because that's what they are, Katie said suddenly. Everyone looked at her. I mean, think about it. They're travelers who've been alone for 1 billion years. They probably haven't had a real conversation with anyone in centuries. Rex smiled. That's exactly right. Humans see past the scary appearance and recognize something familiar. You see beings who are lost and lonely, and your instinct is to help them feel welcome. Commander Singh's equipment started beeping. We're receiving a transmission from the lead Devourer scout ship. They want a ... talk. To who? General Roberts asked. To whoever is in charge of Earth's defense. President Williams straightened his tie. I suppose that would be me. Actually, Rex said, I think they want to talk to all of us. This is bigger than any one country or species now. The main screen changed to show the bridge of a Devourer ship. The creature that appeared was enormous, with skin like black metal and eyes that glowed red. When it spoke, its voice sounded like rocks grinding together. I am Prime Scout Vex of the Devourer fleet. We came to your world expecting resistance. We expected fear. We expected the usual. President Williams stepped forward. Welcome to Earth. I'm President Williams. We're honored to meet you. The creature called Vex tilted its massive head. Honored? We are instruments of consumption. We are destroyers of worlds. Maybe you used to be, Katie said, surprising everyone including herself. But right now, you're our guests. And on Earth, we take care of our guests. Vex was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice was softer. In 1 billion years of travel, no species has ever called us guests. Rex stepped forward. Prime Scout Vex, we'd like to invite you and your scouts to stay for a while. We'd like to show you what Earth is really like, and maybe you can tell us about the worlds you've seen. Why would you want to know about worlds we have consumed? Because, Katie said, maybe it's time to remember them as they were, not just as they ended. On the screen, the massive creature that had destroyed countless worlds looked like it might be crying. 3 days later, the world had changed in ways nobody could have imagined. Prime Scout Vex and his team of Devourers had not left Earth. Instead, they had accepted humanity's invitation to stay and learn about human civilization. Katie Sullivan stood in Central Park in New York City, watching something that would have been impossible to believe a week ago. Children were playing with baby devourers, creatures that looked like small black puppies with too many legs. The adult devourers watched nervously as if they had forgotten how to play. "It's working," Rex Harper said, walking up beside her. "Look at them." Katie looked. The devourers were different now. Their black metallic skin was becoming softer, more gray than black. Their red eyes were fading to a gentle orange. Most importantly, they were laughing. It was a strange sound, like rocks tumbling down a hill, but it was definitely laughter. "How is this possible?" she asked. "The devourers weren't born evil," Rex explained. "They became what they are because they spent 1,000,000,000 years believing the universe was a cruel place where only the strong survive. But humans are showing them something different." Dr. Martinez approached them, carrying a tablet full of readings. "Rex, you need to see this. The energy patterns from the Devourer Scouts have completely changed. They're not reading as predators anymore." "What are they reading as?" "Honestly? They're reading as confused teenagers who don't know what they want to be when they grow up." Katie laughed. "That might be the most accurate description I've heard yet." Around the world, similar scenes were playing out. In London, a devourer named Crix had become fascinated with human art and was learning to paint. In Tokyo, another devourer called Zan was working with scientists to understand how their consumption abilities could be used to clean pollution instead of destroying life. In Snow Paulo, a group of devourers had formed a band with human musicians, but the real breakthrough had come from an unexpected source. "Where's Jimmy?" Katie asked. "Studio 6B, Rex replied. "He insisted on doing his show normally, even with everything that's happening." They walked across the city to 30 Rockefeller Plaza, where The Tonight Show was filmed. The building was surrounded by news crews from around the world, but also by ordinary people who just wanted to see what was happening. Inside the studio, Jimmy Fallon was interviewing Prime Scout Vex. The massive devourer creature was sitting in the guest chair, which had been specially reinforced. Jimmy looked completely comfortable, as if interviewing destroyer aliens was something he did every Tuesday. "So Vex," Jimmy was saying, "tell me about your favorite planet that you've visited." Vex was quiet for a moment. I had not thought about favorites before. We always focused on which worlds were easiest to consume. But there must have been some places that were beautiful, right? Some worlds that made you stop and think, wow, this is amazing. Vex's orange eyes grew brighter. There was a world called Serenity Prime. It had oceans that glowed with bioluminescent life. At night, the waves looked like liquid starlight. "That sounds incredible. What happened to it?" We consumed it." Vex's voice became very quiet. "I have not thought about those glowing oceans in 300 years. Jimmy leaned forward with genuine interest. "Do you miss it?" The question seemed to shock Vex. "Miss it? Yes, I think I do miss it." In the audience, Katie could see devourers and humans sitting together, watching the interview. Many of the devourers were making the same expression as Vex, as if they were remembering things they had tried to forget. "You know what I think?" Jimmy said. "I think you guys have been doing a really hard job for a really long time, and maybe it's time for a vacation." Vex tilted his massive head. "A vacation?" "Yeah. Like, what if instead of consuming worlds, you helped protect them? You know about every dangerous thing in the galaxy, right? You could warn other species about threats they haven't seen yet." The idea seemed to hit Vex like lightning. We could be guardians instead of destroyers." "Exactly. You'd be like the galaxy's warning system. Hey, watch out for those plasma storms near the Vega system, or there's a really nice species on planet X that could use some friends." Katie felt tears in her eyes. Jimmy Fallon, a late-night talk show host, was accidentally solving a billion-year-old problem with kindness and common sense. Suddenly, alarms started going off throughout the building. Rex checked his communication device. "What's wrong?" Katie asked. The main Devourer fleet just arrived, 8 months early. Through the studio windows they could see the sky darkening. Massive ships, each one the size of a city, were descending. Through the atmosphere, there were thousands of them. How many? Jimmy asked, somehow keeping his calm. The entire Devourer civilization, Rex said grimly. Every ship they have, this is their whole species. Prime Scout Vex stood up from the guest chair. They came because we missed our reporting deadline. Fleet Commander Morg will assume we were destroyed and begin immediate consumption protocols. Can you contact them? Katie asked. Yes, but Commander Morg will not listen to me. In Devourer culture, if scouts go missing, it means the local population is too dangerous to negotiate with. The largest ship landed in the Hudson River, sending up enormous waves. A figure appeared on every screen in the city, another Devourer. But this one was even more massive than Vex. Its skin was pure black metal and its eyes blazed like red stars. I am Fleet Commander Morg, the figure announced. This world has destroyed our scouts. Therefore, this world will be consumed. You have 1 hour to prepare for termination. Jimmy walked over to the camera. Commander Morg, this is Jimmy Fallon from The Tonight Show. Your scouts aren't destroyed. They're right here. The camera pulled back to show Prime Scout Vex standing next to Jimmy. Vex? Morg's voice showed confusion. You missed your report deadline. Yes, Commander. Because I was learning. Learning what? Vex looked at Jimmy. Then at the audience full of humans and Devourers sitting together. Learning that we have been wrong for 1 billion years. Explain. Vex took a deep breath. Something Katie had never seen a Devourer do before. Commander, the beings on this world are not predators or prey. They are something we had forgotten existed. They are friends. Friends? They invited us to stay. They shared their food with us. They showed us their art and music. They played games with our young. They made us remember worlds not as things we consumed, but as places that were beautiful. Commander. Morg was silent for a long time. Finally he said, "This is impossible." Jimmy stepped forward. Commander Morg, would you like to come on the show? I'd love to hear about some of the places you've been. Want to interview me? Sure. You must have incredible stories. You've seen things no human has ever imagined. Another long pause. Then Commander Morg said something that no one expected. I would like that. 6 months later, Katie stood in the same studio where everything had started. But now it looked very different. The audience was full of beings from hundreds of different species. The Devourers had become the galaxy's protectors, using their knowledge of cosmic threats to help other civilizations prepare for danger. Jimmy was interviewing Commander Morg about the rebuilding of Serenity Prime, which the Devourers had restored. Using technology they had developed specifically to undo the damage they had caused. And the best part, Morg was saying, is that the bioluminescent oceans are even more beautiful now than they were before. Rex Harper sat in the front row, no longer hiding his identity. His mission had been a complete success, but not in the way anyone had expected. You know what the funny thing is? Katie said to him during a commercial break. What? The thing that saved the galaxy wasn't advanced technology or powerful weapons. It was a talk show host being genuinely interested in people's stories. Rex smiled. That's humanity for you. You solve the universe's biggest problems by being yourselves. Jimmy came back on the air. Welcome back to The Tonight Show, broadcasting live from Earth, the new headquarters of the Galactic Peace Alliance. Tomorrow night, our guests will be the Singing Crystals of Alpha Centauri, and we'll be playing a new game called What's in the Black Hole. The audience laughed, humans, Devourers, and dozens of other species all laughing together. Katie looked around the studio and thought about how much had changed since that night when Keanu Reeves had accidentally revealed the truth about humanity's cosmic importance. It turned out that humanity's greatest power wasn't their ability to fight. It was their ability to see the good in others and help them remember who they could be. And sometimes, that was enough to save the universe.